Now, today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be diving into why your Facebook ad is not working. And I'm really excited to bring this to you today because the reality is I know a lot of agents, biggest struggle for them in a lot of cases is lead generation. And Facebook is one of the most effective lead generation tools if you know how to use it correctly. So I'm going to be showing you ways you can actually optimize your ads, whether you're running ads right now, or even if you've never ran a Facebook ad before. I'm going to give you some information on how you can actually take what I'm telling you and avoid these mistakes so you can actually get lower cost per lead and more leads out of your budget. Basically, what we're going to go through is we're going to go through some information on why Facebook is so powerful. I'll go through a couple myths. Then I'll go through the 5 biggest mistakes that I see agents make when they run Facebook ads. Then we're going to wrap up with examples of ads you can actually use today to generate business. So with that being said, we're going to dive right into it. So first of all, Thermel did a great introduction, so I won't spend too much time on this. My name is Kyle Sutton. For those of you guys that don't know me, I'm based out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I'm a real estate agent here at eXp Realty with Thermel. And I have a background in digital marketing and advertising. I was a lead media buyer for multiple e-commerce brands, helped scale them into the 6-figure mark by leveraging Facebook. Now, at the end of this call, hopefully you guys have enough information where you can go out and generate leads like this. This is actually from our real estate ads account, where I was able to generate 125 leads for only 59 cents each here in the GTA or Toronto, which is one of the most competitive markets when it comes to Facebook. So we're gonna be diving deep into everything you guys need to know. So let's get right into it. Now, first off, a quick thing before we go into the why Facebook. Anytime I talk about Facebook advertising, I'm talking about Facebook as well as Instagram. It's the same platform, the same ads manager. You can select whether you want to use Facebook, Instagram, or both, but everything I'm telling you applies to both platforms. So the 4 main things why Facebook is so powerful, it's going to be that there's users, targeting, Facebook intelligence, and omnipresence. So we'll start with users. As you guys probably know, Facebook's one of the most popular social media websites in the world with over 4 billion users. What does that mean? Well, your potential buyer, seller, investor, client is probably using Facebook. That's a great place where you can actually find them. Now, one of the more powerful reasons why Facebook is so strong is the targeting option. So first of all, you have the option to retarget or remarket, and I'll dive deep into this in a little bit, but essentially what that's allowing you to do is to send ads to people that have already interacted with your business in the past. That's where you start to see it feels like you're getting followed around everywhere when you're going on different websites. The other one is the ability to do strategic location targeting. I know a lot of agents right now that are down in places like, Texas, Florida. There's a lot of people moving from California. So a lot of agents, what they're actually able to do is target locations like California for people that are moving down to Texas, and they're able to actually target that market, which is a huge opportunity. And if you're in a market where there's a lot of people moving from one area or one city or state or province to your city, state, or province, this is a great opportunity for you to start generating a lot of leads. Now, this one here is my favorite. One of the reasons why I love Facebook the most is the Facebook intelligence. And what I mean by that is that Facebook knows you and Facebook knows your potential client better than you even know yourself. And they do that through a thing called pixel tracking. Essentially, pixel tracking is a little piece of code that every single advertiser that uses Facebook puts on their website to track every single action that goes on the website to send it to Facebook to make their ads better. Well, what Facebook does, they collect all of that data and they know what you're interested in. For example, that's the reason why if you go on, Amazon and you're looking for headphones, and let's say you don't buy any headphones, well, maybe the next day while you're scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, you're going to start seeing Amazon ads for headphones because Amazon saw you were looking at headphones. They're going to send you ads about those specific headphones. And the other thing is Facebook's ads actually improve over time, meaning that they take the data from other advertisers as well as your ads and are able to slowly improve the ads and give you better results the more that you actually use Facebook. And the last one is lookalike audiences. And again, I'm going to dive into this in just a second, but essentially what it's able to do is take a specific audience and tell Facebook to find more people like that, which is one of the most powerful tools that Facebook has. But unfortunately, most agents don't know how to use it, and even more don't even know that it exists. So it's really important that you properly understand how these work. Now, last one here is the omnipresence. Now, omnipresence is one of the biggest things that are able to get real estate agents more business by staying top of mind. Essentially, what I mean by omnipresence is that you are everywhere. And what it does, it allows you to increase the results of your other advertising, even your prospecting. So your traditional prospecting, like cold calling, door knocking, or if you're doing any other types of advertising, what you can do is you can leverage the Facebook ads to stay top of mind with your prospects, with your potential clients, and it allows you to be their first thought when they're looking to buy, sell, or invest. And the other part is that it does have a lot of leverage, unlike traditional prospecting. You can only knock one door at a time. You can only call one person at a time. Now with Facebook, great example, right now I'm on this call. Obviously I can't go prospect, I can't go door knock, but I do have my ads running. And by the time this call is over, I'm going to have more leads into my database. Same thing if I'm on a showing, same thing if I'm driving to a showing. Even when I'm asleep, you're able to generate leads by using a platform like Facebook, which is constantly working. So next thing I go into here are 3 of the most common myths that I hear about Facebook. And this is sort of like the bonus mistake that I feel people make, is by believing a lot of these myths. But the reality is these are actually in your benefit, because the more people that are afraid of using Facebook ads or unsure about Facebook ads, it means less people are actually spending money on Facebook. And because the way Facebook operates is a bidding system, it actually means you get better performance on your ads. So the first one being the iOS updates. So you probably hear, a lot of people saying, well, because of these new iOS updates, ads don't work anymore. You can't track anything. That's just not the case. Now, if you're running things like e-commerce ads where you have very complicated tracking, things like add to cart, checkout, purchase, etc., those are going to hit you a bit harder. Now, in the real estate sense, where your primary objective is always going to be, most of the time, it's going to be lead generation, this does not get affected nearly as much. You will see maybe there was a small change once it was implemented, but for the most part, it's very, very negligible as long as you're doing everything else correctly. The one in the middle is probably the one I hear the most. It's fake information. People say, well, I ran a Facebook ad once and I got a number for a Pizza Hut. Obviously, that's not what I'm looking for. But the reality is, the reason why people are giving you fake information, it's because you're not providing them with enough value. So what I find my ads that work the best are when I actually give people value. And I'll show you some examples of ways you can actually demonstrate your value in your ads. But if you're promising somebody some actual value, what that means for them is they're going to actually want to give you their real information so they can get the value that you've promised. And the reality is, no matter what online lead source you use, or pretty much any lead source that you use to generate business, there's always going to be some fake leads, bad information, etc. But by giving more value up front, it allows you to get higher quality leads and less fake information. The last one on the right-hand side, here's a special ads category. For those of you that don't know, essentially the special ads category is due to discrimination laws. It's here in Canada, United States, and many other countries around the world as well, where you have to put it in a special ads category, and it removes a lot of your detailed targeting options. So you cannot target age, you cannot target gender, and your area has to be a minimum of a 15-mile radius. Now, some people might say, well, if I can't even target my ads properly, then why does Facebook even work? Well, that goes back to what I was talking about earlier, the Facebook intelligence. Facebook actually knows how to generate business and find clients for you. But, and some of my best performing ads that I've ever ran, whether that was in e-commerce or on real estate, have actually had no detailed targeting besides location. So as long as you have all the other steps checked, then you're going to be able to actually have results even in the special ads category. So now I'm going to go into the 5 main mistakes that I see agents make, and we're going to dive deep into each one of them so you guys can understand how you can avoid them and what you can do to fix them. So we have targeting, timing, tracking, testing, and probably most important is transitioning. So I'm going to be breaking down each one of those here for you guys. So first of all is targeting. Like I said, some of my best performing ads that I've ever ran had little to no targeting at all besides location. So I know a lot of people, they try to add all these different things when it comes to targeting, different interests and all these different settings. However, the reality is a lot of times, unless you're very, very certain that's going to work, or you have a huge budget where you're able to actually test all these different targetings, most of the time, by letting Facebook optimize the ad for you, you're actually going to be able to get better results. Sort of less is more is very, very true when it comes to Facebook. And that's what I mean by you're not leveraging the Facebook intelligence. So you're not leveraging things like retargeting or lookalike audiences. So retargeting essentially is, like I said, it's the ability to send ads to somebody that's interacted with your business in the past. So what you can actually do is anybody that's, let's say, interacted with your Instagram or Facebook, been to your website, or even past clients. So if you have a database of past clients that you've worked with, you can actually upload that list into Facebook and start sending them ads when they're potentially ready to actually purchase in the future. Or you can also have prospects that never actually ended up buying or decided to hold off on selling, whatever it may be. You can actually put them in a retargeting list and send them ads over time, which helps you stay top of mind. Now, lookalike audiences, or LLAs, essentially what that is, it's the ability to take a specific audience and tell Facebook to find people just like that. And that's one of the most powerful tools that Facebook has. So if you have a list of buyers that you worked with in the past, you can tell Facebook, find me people that are most similar to these buyers, and Facebook will go out and try to find people like that. Same thing if you have a bunch of leads that have already come in through Facebook. You can tell Facebook, find people like these leads that I've already received from Facebook. There's a bunch of different options that you can use, but this is a very, very powerful tool. And if you're not leveraging that, you're missing out on one of the biggest advantages that you have in Facebook ads. The last one being is you're not building enough trust before asking for the business. So what I mean by that is that you are sort of asking cold leads and you're sending them ads that are designed for a hot market. Best way I like to sort of make the comparison is, imagine if you were somebody who was door knocking and you get to somebody's door, you knock on the door. The moment they open the door, you hand them a listing contract and say, here, sign this, let me list your house. Now, obviously that's not going to work because they don't know who you are. And especially in a price point market like we are here in Toronto, where we're a very high price point market, you have to develop some trust. So I'm going to show you towards the end some ads you can run to actually build some trust with your audience and get them more familiar with you, so they have that know, like, and trust factor where they're going to be more willing to actually, number one, give you real information, and number two, actually work with you as a client. Now, next up is timing. And this is what I find, especially when it comes to people that haven't ran a lot of Facebook ads in the past or are brand new. It's this sort of instant gratification I think a lot of people are looking for, is you turn the ads off too fast. So a lot of people, especially if it's a fresh ad account, they run the ad for a day or two, they don't get the amount of leads that they want, they turn the ads off and say Facebook ads don't work. Now, the reality is, like I was talking to you about Facebook intelligence, it takes a little bit of time for it to ramp up and to learn, especially if your ad account is new. They don't necessarily have enough data from it just yet. Now, the other thing is you're not letting Facebook optimize. So if you turn your ads off within a day or two, even when your ad account is a bit more experienced, what's going to happen is that you're not going to be able to have an accurate assessment of whether these ads are good or not. So you're actually giving yourself bad data, which you can't actually make proper decisions in the future whether or not the ads would work. And the last one is changing the ads too often. The best thing to do if you want to change the ad in any way, unless it's some minor tweak, the best thing to do is actually create a whole new ad and set it in a different campaign. Because when you make these little tweaks on Facebook, it essentially resets Facebook's learning, and it causes you to get a little bit higher cost per lead than you would if you just let the ad run. Now, number 3 is tracking. And this is super important. We actually had Joshua Smith come and talk to us this week on Tuesday, talk to our group. And one of the big things he was talking about was tracking your business and knowing your numbers. Now, it's very, very important to track your numbers on your advertising side so you can even track the rest of your numbers. And, you probably heard the saying, what gets measured gets managed. And that's very, very true when it comes to Facebook. Now, a lot of people, what they do, as I noticed on their ad accounts, they're only using Facebook's default settings when it comes to the metrics. Now, those metrics are good. There's some good information in there, but they're missing a lot of key metrics that are going to help you make proper decisions on whether or not your ads are working. So obviously you're going to have results, meaning how many of whatever you're trying to get did you get? So how many leads, how many video views, how many clicks, depending on your objective, CPR or cost per result, how much did it actually cost to get that results? Those are the ones I see a lot of people look at. Now, if you look at those on the surface, you may not be able to actually tell what is the problem in your ads if you're having a high cost per result. You have to look at things like this, CPM, or cost per thousand, aka how much does it cost to deliver your ad to 1,000 people or 1,000 impressions. Now, if your ad could be performing great, but it could be at a time where there's a lot of competition for the potential clients you're advertising to, so your CPM is a little bit higher. meaning it's not your ad that's not working, it's just timing, especially if you try to run ads during big holidays, things like Black Friday, Christmas, Boxing Day, all these big holidays where there's a ton of people advertising. Again, Facebook's a bidding system. You may see a slight decrease in performance, but if you don't understand to look at this number, you may think there's another issue with your ad. Now, the other one is click-through rate, essentially meaning how many people are actually clicking on your ad or clicking through the ad, which is really important to see. Is it engaging? Is it something that's actually driving conversions? And then these three here are reach, impressions, and frequency. So essentially what that is, reach is how many people have seen the ad. Impressions are how many total views have they had. So reach is unique people. Impressions are how many times anybody's viewed the ad. And then frequency is how many times each person has viewed the ad on average. So for example, let's say you have a reach of 100 and an impressions of 200. Well, then your frequency would be 2, meaning everybody saw the ad on average twice. Now, that's something you want to watch out for, especially if you're running the same ad for a prolonged period of time. If your frequency gets too high, you will notice a decrease in the results of your ad. People start to get ad fatigue. They've seen the ad over and over again. If they didn't click before, they may not click now. So it's good to kind of take a break from that ad, potentially run it again later, or make some small tweaks to the creative. And I'll give you some ideas on how you can test some stuff in just a second here. Now, when it comes to videos, there's a little bit different. So I'd recommend these on all ads. There's some other ones I like to use as well, but those are the ones I would definitely recommend. But on the video side of things, the ones that are really important is by looking at the metrics of how long people are watching. So you have 3-second and through play. Those two, you're going to see a massive piece of information that's going to make your decision making a lot easier. So 3-second views, anybody that's watched up to 3 seconds. A through play is anybody that's watched up to 15 seconds. Now you can also set up the metrics, which will show you if they've watched up to 95%, 50%, 25%, a bunch of different percentages. I find the best is 95%, which means they pretty much finished the whole video. 50% is pretty good. 25% is also good if the video is a bit longer. If not, I would just go with through play instead, because it's about the same if it's like a minute or so long. So what you're able to do is look at these stats and see, let's say you have a lot of people that watch the first 3 seconds, but you don't have a lot of through plays. That means somewhere between second 3 and 15, you need to make your ad more engaging. Or it also means that your hook, your intro, the first 3 seconds, AKA your scroll stopper, is not engaging enough to keep people interested in actually watching your ad. Because I'm sure you've probably all done it yourself, scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, you accidentally watch the first 3 seconds of ads that you have no idea what it is. But if it's a good ad, you'll probably continue to watch it and continue after that. Now, last one here is tracking your off Facebook metrics. And what I mean by that is looking at how many leads you bring in from Facebook. Facebook's going to show you that. But then you want to look at how many leads does it take me to go from lead to converted deal. Then you can look at the numbers, like how much does it cost me to get a lead? And then you can do the math and you can find out, well, how much does it cost for me to get a closed deal on Facebook? So what you're able to do is look at the numbers, and then you're able to actually even see your return on ad spend by looking at your average commission versus how much you're spending to get a closed deal. Add those numbers up, and you can even see, is Facebook a good option for you, or is there better alternatives in other ways that you're spending money? But if you're not properly tracking that, then you can't actually track if Facebook's working for you and whether or not you should increase the budget, lower the budget, or keep it the same. Now, next up is testing. I find a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't know what to test, or they don't do any testing at all. Now, the 4 main things that I would recommend when it comes to testing: creative, number 1. So the creative is the actual image or video that you're actually putting out as an ad. So that's going to make the biggest difference, is changing the actual creative. Now, number 2 is the copy. So the copy, if you don't know, it's sort of the sales text, the text that comes underneath the actual ad, where it tells people and sells people on why they should actually click on the ad or whatever's going on in the ad. Third one being the types of ads. So whether that's a video ad, whether that's a carousel ad, whether that's a photo ad, whether it's a combination of the 3, you want to be able to test all the different ones that you have. Now, this one here, variables, what I mean by that, and this is one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make when they are doing testing, is they're testing too many different things at once. What you want to do is try to test as little amount as possible. So only one variable, because if you start changing multiple things, so if I have 4 ads and on each one I change the creative copy and whether it's a video or an image, well, I'm going to be getting drastically different results and I'm not really going to know what the issue was. Now, let's say I have 4 ads and the only thing I change is the actual copy. Well, then I'll know exactly what is the best performing copy. Same thing with the creative. And I'll show you in just a second some of the ways that I do my creative testing. Now, the last one, and this one, it's hard for a lot of people, especially being entrepreneurs. We always kind of assume we're right in certain situations. So what you want to look at is the data that you're actually collecting from Facebook and not necessarily your own opinion. And what I mean by that, there's been a ton of times where what the ad I thought would perform the best actually did not perform the best. And the ads that I didn't really expect to do that well, and they're performing really, really well. So you can make your assumptions based on what you know, but you want to let the marketplace decide by doing proper testing. So I'm going to show you guys here a couple examples. So here on the left-hand side, this is what I mean by you want to do proper testing. So this is the creative that I was testing. So as you can see, it's 4 different images. Now, when I created this ad, I believed that either the kitchen or the living room would actually perform the best. So I ran 4 different ads. It was the exact same building. The copy was the exact same on every single ad. The only difference was the image behind the just listed sign. So I ran all 4 ads at the same time, and the ones that actually performed the best were the ones I actually didn't expect to perform really at all. It was this one here, the outside of the building and the bathroom. Now, looking at it in hindsight, most likely that was because, you look at the actual condo building, it's a lot of curiosity. You don't necessarily know too much about what's inside. Same thing with the bathroom. It doesn't necessarily give out enough information for people to see, whether they dislike it or like it. So it's going to allow people to actually submit their information to get the details from the ad. Now, this one here in the middle is the copy. So this is where you can actually test different types of copy. So this one here at the top, incredibly simple. It's literally 2-3 lines. It just says here, check out this list, and that's about it. Now, this one underneath, it has a little bit more fun to it, some emojis, and it's a little bit more specific about what the list is about. And I found this ad far outshined this top one by a long shot because the copy actually just was a lot better. It was a lot more interesting, a lot more fun, and people tend to like it a bit more. And then on the right-hand side is image versus video. So a lot of these ads here on the left are all images. This is a video ad. So you want to test different things that you can do. So for example, this one here, it's a video about how to sell your home. And I link to a seller's guide that people can download. Now I could do a video like I did, or I could do an image of the seller's guide, just asking people to download it. So you can have pretty much the same ad with some slight tweaks based on what you're looking for. And these are some of the biggest things that you definitely want to be testing. Now, the final mistake, the most important mistake, you do not want to make this, is transitioning. What I mean by transitioning is transitioning from a lead into a closed client. Now, first of all, a must is having a proper CRM database nurturing system. You need something to track all of these leads, track their journey, where they came from, what type of ad, what are they looking for, your conversations with them and everything like that. Especially if you want to scale, you need to have this, because it's impossible if you start getting, those 125 leads that I got from that one ad campaign. If I didn't have a CRM, I'd have no idea what to do with them. But because you have a CRM, what that allows you to do, it allows you to follow up with them. It allows you to stay in contact and understand what's going on with them. Now, I would recommend, if you don't have a CRM, the second best thing you can do is maybe like a Google Sheets, make your own CRM. But I would highly, highly recommend, if your broker doesn't give you a CRM, which they should, but if they don't, then be sure to get your own CRM. It's worth it, because it's going to make this whole process much easier, even outside of Facebook ads. Now, the next thing that's important to realize is that online leads on average take 8 to 12 touches to close. Now, what I mean by touches, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to call them 12 times. What it means is any form of contact. So whether that's an email, a text, you could be sending them a market update. You can send them a weekly newsletter. You can send them some homes to look at, depending on who they are and what their needs are. You can send them different pieces of contact, which allow them to keep you top of mind, give them some value, build up that know, like, and trust factor, and over time allow them to convert. I can't tell you how many people that came in last year that now are starting to reach back out through some of my different emails and market updates and newsletters and all the different campaigns that I send out to my leads. Now, this part here may shock you, but most agents, they never actually even follow up one time, not even once. So what that means for you, again, it's a massive, massive opportunity, because these people, even if they are signing up for a ton of different agents' content, which a lot don't, but if they are, well, if you're the one agent that actually follows up, actually provides them with good service, which is what they're looking for, then you're going to be the one that stands out from all of these agents, and you're going to be the agent that they actually want to work with, while the other agents are still scratching their head saying Facebook ads don't work. No, you're just not actually following up with the leads to allow them to know, like, and trust you and to convert. Now, what we're going to do is wrap up here with some of the top performing ads you guys can actually use right now. You can actually take these ads, you can run them right now and start to generate business for your business right now. So first of all, there's sort of two different styles of ads you can run: brand awareness and lead generation. Now, brand awareness, these types of ads, I would strongly recommend if you've never ran ads before. If you've never ran a Facebook ad on your account, you have a fresh ad account, I would strongly recommend running some brand awareness ads to get things started. It's going to allow Facebook to start to realize who's your potential client, and it's going to get your name and face out there when people are scrolling on their Facebook. So when they see these ads later on, they're going to have some sort of familiarity with you. So some of these ads you can run things about you. Why are you a good agent? Maybe your background, some little history about you, where you're from, some reason why they, something that would interest a potential buyer or seller. You could have buyer's tips, seller tips. You could talk about the best restaurants in the city, things to do in your city. There's a lot of different things you can do, just position yourself as an expert when it comes to the brand awareness side. Now, lead generation, I know that's what you guys are probably all here looking for. The ones that work the best, just listed, just sold, those work incredible for getting buyers, but also for getting sellers to see this is a hardworking agent who's closing who's selling a lot of homes. Now, pre-construction here in GTA, pre-construction is absolutely nuts. There's a ton of projects to work on. Those I find personally work out incredibly for me. If you guys don't have pre-construction in your area, they may not work as well. But if you do, especially if there's not as many agents working on it as there is here in Toronto, I would highly, highly, highly recommend talk to some builders, see if you can get some details from them and try to sell their properties, because pre-construction ads work absolutely incredible. Custom list of homes. Those are some of the ones I showed you a bit earlier. So custom list of homes under a certain price point allows you to actually curate a list for people, like the one I showed you earlier of the pools, which actually provides people with value, a list that they may not know exactly how to find only pool houses when they're actually searching on like Realtor.com or any of the other websites. However, the caveat with this one is you need to have an IDX integrated website, meaning it needs to be updated with your MLS in real time. Now, if you don't have that, I know some people have used Realtor.com. I would try to avoid that, because the lead's going to Realtor.com and they might even contact the agent that's actually listing the property instead of you. Or if your brokerage has a website where they have an IDX website where you can search properties, again, I still would try to avoid that if possible, because the last thing you want to do is you're spending money to give your brokerage leads, which you may or may not get. So if you don't have your own IDX website, I would steer away from it. You can make it work, but there's other things that I would recommend instead. Then you have the home evaluation. This is probably a classic one you've seen a ton of times. I'm not the biggest fan of the home evaluation, because the reality is most homeowners, they understand that a free home evaluation, it's always been free, and any agent would gladly do a free home evaluation for them. However, I have seen it can work if you sort of position correctly. And then these ones work really well: buyer, seller, or investor guides. So if you're looking to get more buyers, here's a guide on how to buy a house in your area. Here's a guide on how to sell your home for the most amount of money, like I showed you that video earlier. Or if you're if you're looking for investors, whether that's venture capitalists or whatever it may be, you're able to actually find investors, buyers, or sellers by having guides on how they can get into real estate from whichever perspective. Another one is just property tours. So if you do a tour of a home that you're listing, you post that, that's going to get you buyers looking to buy the home. That's going to get you sellers because they see the quality of video that you're doing. So I'm going to show you here is actually some examples where you can actually see some of these ads in action here. So just one second. So what you can see here, here's an example of 3 of the ads that I was talking about earlier. So first of all, pre-construction, again, far and away is the best ads I've ever ran are these pre-construction ads. And you can see these ads are very, very simple. I've designed these all myself. You can make them look more, you can make these look better if you want, if you send them out to a graphic designer, or if you're better at, graphic design than I am, you can make them look nicer. But the reality is they don't need to look that nice to actually get results. This ad performed absolutely incredible because it's giving people something they can't access on their own, which is why I was talking about giving them value. You cannot get the access to the pricing, the floor plans, the layouts, the details of this pre-construction condo because it's not available anywhere else. So you have to click the ad. Now, this one here that just listed, the reason why I showed this ad specifically is because what you'll notice, it's not the prettiest looking ad, has this big red banner at the top. It doesn't look maybe the most aesthetically pleasing. However, because it's got this big bright red thing at the top, what it really does is it grabs people's attention and it gets them to stop scrolling, which is the biggest thing you want to do. Grab their attention, and then they'll decide whether or not they're interested from there. So I highly recommend, especially if it's an image ad, to try to have some sort of color or something that's going to grab their attention and things like that. The right-hand side is the ones I just talked about, which was the custom list of homes under a certain price point. So you can pick where you can do, this one was actually about condos under $1 million here in the downtown area here in Toronto, which is a pretty good price for these different condos. I ran a bunch of different ones. You can run different price points. These work incredible, but again, you need to have a proper website so you're not sending the leads to your brokerage, or you're not just sending them to realtor.com. So that wraps up our presentation for the day. I hope you guys learned something useful. I know Facebook can seem very daunting to a lot of people. A lot of people aren't quite getting the results that they're looking for on Facebook, but I can guarantee you, if you implement these things and you fix these 5 major mistakes that I went over here today, I can guarantee you will see much better results in your Facebook ads, and you can start to generate business from this platform, which again is an incredibly powerful platform. But if you guys do have any questions, feel free to either A, unmute yourself, or B, just drop it there in the chat. I'd be happy to answer any question you may have.